I told you that this was a brief pause. I will celebrate any kind of stoppage of hostilities. Having said that, I told you consistently that he has a way more nefarious purpose behind his allegiances to Israel, and that he was inevitably looking for permanent annexation of the West Bank. So cute, my little Hasanito. Breaking news about Gaza. Trump, if all the hostages are not released by Saturday at 12 noon, the ceasefire should be called off and all hell will break loose. I'm so glad I'm 33 years old. And he's talking about all the hostages, not just the ones that were scheduled for release. As in, Donald Trump is going back to the hostage negotiation and saying, after spending the last week talking about how he's going to own Gaza personally, and how he's not going to let any Palestinian remain there, and that they have no right to return, even though they haven't left yet. They haven't been forced out yet. Now he's pulling the lever off the hostage negotiations and saying, actually, never mind. You're just going to release all the hostages, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if that's not the case, all hell will break loose. Which I suspect Israel at this stage is not capable of going back into Gaza on its own. I think you know what that means. You should take back the credit you gave him for stopping the war. You have to be very stupid if you think that I said Donald Trump is earnestly stopping the war. What did I tell you? I told you that this was a brief pause. I will celebrate any kind of stoppage of hostilities. Having said that, I told you consistently that he has a way more nefarious purpose behind his allegiances to Israel, and that he was inevitably looking for permanent annexation of the West Bank. It's not exactly a prophetic take either. It's the obvious one.
Nobody's looking at that. We're looking at all the corruption that's taken place. I mean, his financial
And just like that,
is largely the number of shares that he's got in.
Just like that, Israeli jets are once again flying low over Gaza with drones buzzing overhead after Hamas announced it would delay the release of captives until Israel stops violating the ceasefire agreement. Liberals enjoy what's going to happen to Gaza just to own the left. I mean, it's not because they want to own the left. It's also because they just also like the stuff that's going on. Here is the reasons as to why I was going to cover this earlier. The reasons as to why Hamas was postponing the hostage release delay was because of the many different violations of humanitarian agreements in Gaza. They were agreed upon for 12,008 trucks. Only 8,500 were allowed to enter. 50 fuel trucks per day was agreed upon. Only 15 fuel trucks were allowed to enter. 60,000 mobile homes were agreed upon. No mobile homes have entered the strip. They agreed upon 200,000 tents, and they only got 20,000 tents. The violations were a shortfall of 3,500 aid trucks, a shortfall of 35 fuel trucks per day, complete absence of mobile homes, and a shortfall of 180,000 tents. Why'd you say you're happy to be 33? I'm not likely to be drafted. It's not even just that. They've also continued bombing. So that's the other side of this as well. Israel not only did not follow through on allowing these aid trucks in, but Israel also simultaneously kept up bombing. On the caravans, here's Fox News' national chief foreign correspondent, Trey Yingst. One of the 4 key ceasefire issues right now is that of the caravans, temporary homes for Palestinians in Gaza. An official with knowledge of the talks tells me a number of countries and international organizations, including the UN and Qatar, have requested to send caravans to Gaza in accordance with the agreement. All the requests have so far been rejected without explanation, according to this official. Israel must approve for the caravans to enter. So it's not like this aid doesn't exist. This aid is ready to go. There's only one hurdle, and that is Israel. Israel does not want this aid that they previously negotiated on allowing to enter the Gaza Strip to enter the Gaza Strip. That's it. This is the reason why Hamas said, we are going to stop the hostage deal until you follow through on your end of the ceasefire conditions. We're going to postpone it. It's crazy that Israel's situation is so black and white that you have Fox News' own chief foreign correspondent, Trey Yingst, who is not exactly a friend to the Palestinians, actively, seemingly defending Palestinians, because defending Palestinians at that point is just defending the truth. What's also insane about this process is that when Donald Trump says we are going to destroy if Hamas doesn't release the hostages, or the conditions of the hostages are horrible, and that's why I can't bear it any longer. What he's saying is we're just going to kill all the hostages. That's what he's saying. When he says we're going to take crazy action, he means like he's just going to kill them. He does not care. Here's Al Jazeera interviewing a Hamas official. Hamas official Bassem Naim tells Al Jazeera that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is intentionally sabotaging the ceasefire deal, continuing to block aid, kill Palestinians, and delay negotiations on phase 2.
To all observers, including the mediators, that we have done all what we have to do along the last few weeks, but the Israelis until now, they are still blocking the humanitarian aid. They are still shooting on Palestinians and killing Palestinians. They are threatening by returning back to war. They have, for example, they have postponed the negotiations for the second phase have to start on the day 16 of the first phase agreement. Netanyahu intentionally have postpone the start of the negotiations until he visits Washington, and he is now returning back. He sent yesterday a technical delegation, a very low-profile technical delegation, who is not authorized to negotiate anything, especially from the second phase. Therefore, until now, we didn't start the second phase negotiation, which has to be started 1 week ago. Therefore, he is intentionally planning, and he publicly stated that he is looking for prolonging the first phase and postponing the second phase negotiations. Therefore, they are violating, I think, every observer, every neutral observer will clearly see that the Israelis intentionally sabotaging the deal and undermining the agreement.
So just for the sake of clarity, and now that you're mentioning the phase 2 negotiations, are you saying that the phase 2 negotiations now are stalled?
They didn't start. We cannot talk about stall.
Incredible stuff. This will, I predict, have more dangerous consequences for internal Israeli politics, as the Israeli population has gotten a taste of hostage release, and therefore will understandably demand more, because they recognize it as the only realistic method of extracting hostages alive. Meanwhile, the protests that have started taking place, it seems, are what? Settlers in Tel Aviv blocking roads, demanding that the government implement the entire agreement? Wait, what? No, these are not settlers in Tel Aviv. These are the protesters that are already started. They're the pro ceasefire protesters. It's War Monitor. He calls all Israeli settlers. Okay, well, for the sake of clarity here, these are not the West Bank settlers. These are the immediate family members of the hostages, usually. Albeit Israel is a settler colonial project, I think this distinction is important for clarity for people to understand. Very stupid for people to disagree with me on this in this moment. It's an important distinction for the feelings of white Americans? No, it's an important distinction for people to understand what's going on. There are numerous different dynamics happening in Israeli politics. It's like referring to Americans as settlers when you're having a conversation about American citizens is technically true, but probably unhelpful when you're trying to have a normal conversation. They are. I know they are. I know I am. I know.